Hello, Madison here. Today I'm going to be going over the 5 different books that I chose that were either Caldecott or Newbery Medal winners. And the first book that I chose was The Hello Goodbye Window by Norton Juster. And I like this book because it revolves around the Hello Goodbye window that is located in this little girl's grandparents' kitchen. And she talks about how special this window is because it's the window that they say hello in, it's the window that they say goodbye in, it's the window that they make funny faces at each other in. You can scare them if they don't see you before you get to the window. And they can see themselves at night in their reflection, and it looks like they're outside, and her grandpa joke about, hey, get back in here, what are you doing outside? Or it's the window that you can see when everyone visits. And so she talks about how her grandma's English, so the tea or the queen likes to come over for tea, and just funny stuff like that. But I think it's a really cute book. It's really good. It has a ton of imagination in it. I feel like younger audiences would really enjoy that book. It's kind of funny. And yeah, it's just a really good read. I thought it was cute and I enjoyed it a lot. The second one that I chose was The Tale of Despero. It's the story of a mouse, a princess, some soup, and a spool of thread. And this one was a Newbery Medal winner. And I think that either all of us have heard of this book or have read it throughout our education. I remember either being read this or reading this when I was younger, and I remember enjoying it a lot. I just thought it was super fun and imaginative. It's just a super cute story about this mouse who longs to be with a princess, and he goes through a lot of different obstacles and struggles to get to that point. And even though he might not end up being with the princess, they still end up being best friends. And it's super cute, and I think it's a classic. And I definitely think it's one of those books that's good to read aloud to a class. It's quite a bit longer than just a regular children's book. And so if you pick that book to do for a read aloud, it could be spanned over a month's time. If you just picked a couple minutes every day to read a couple pages out of that book, I think it'd be really cute. It's a good one. The third one that I chose was The Girl Who Drank the Moon by Kelly Barnhill. This one is also a Newbery Medal winner, and this is a book about a girl who, well, I guess technically it's kind of about a witch who lives in the forest, and there's a town right outside the forest where the people who live there think that the witch is evil and wants to do harm to them. So every year they bring her a baby as I don't want to say a sacrifice, but it's just a gift to the witch to keep her at bay with the townspeople so that she doesn't hurt them, even though she never would. But one year they get a baby, and so the witch, during her journey, she gets the child every year and she brings it to a village in the forest. And so she does this every year. It's a ritual. And so the townspeople take care of the children in her village rather than the people who are giving the baby to her. And so she goes on a journey from where she gets the baby to the village in the forest. And so every year during that journey, she always feeds the baby starlight to keep them fed and healthy. And one year she accidentally feeds the baby moonlight. And so the baby has all of these special powers, and but the witch is afraid of what that baby might do with them, so she buries them deep inside her, and she won't be able to like access them until her 13th birthday. But when Luna, the name of the child who has these special powers, which is kind of fitting because Luna, moon, it's just cute. But so when she accesses these powers, there are people who want to do harm to the witch, and so Luna has to use her powers to like save the day. And it's just a really cute and fun story. Lots of magic and fairy tales and, you know, those kind of topics. So that was also a book that I really enjoyed. The fourth one that I chose was The Higher Power of Lucky, which was a Newbery Medal winner. And this book is about a girl named Lucky who is left as kind of an orphan when her mom passes away. And so she, the beginning of the book starts off with her listening in on a discussion about the higher power, and when people hit their lowest point is when they achieve this higher power. And so Lucky says like, well, I want to do that. And she's pretty sick and tired of her situation, but she keeps a positive and imaginative and funny outlook on everything, which is really cute. And she talks like a typical like 10-year-old would. But she, you know, she has to leave her country of France and is in this town where the population is like 43 people, and she has to leave her friends and all of this stuff, and it's just really hard on her. And so she decides that she is going to run away and make her way through the Mojave Desert. And it's just, and on her way there she encounters like a dust storm, and so it's action-packed, it's really funny, it's super cute, but I won't spoil it for you. But yeah, that was my fourth book. And the last book that I chose was a Caldecott Medal winner, Finding Winnie, The True Story of the World's Most Famous Bear by Lindsay Maddock, illustrated by Sophie Blackwell. And I am obsessed with Winnie the Pooh. I feel like everyone, when they're little, they become attached to something, whether it be like Hello Kitty or Power Rangers or something like that, and mine was Winnie the Pooh. And so when I saw this on the list, I was like, I have to pick this for my read-aloud. So I have the book here, and in the title it says The True Story of the World's Most Famous Bear, and so I won't give too much further information on it since I'm going to be reading it aloud to you guys. I will just leave it at that, and then I'm going to be reading it to you. I'm going to take this cover off because it's loud and obnoxious, and I feel like I'm just going to be rattling it around the whole time. But you saw the cover, so you know what it looks like. I guess I'll show you all the pages. So this is Finding Winnie, The True Story of the World's Most Famous Bear. Could you tell me a story? Asked Cole. It's awfully late. It was long past dark and time to be asleep. What kind of story? You know, a true story. One about a bear. We cuddled up close. I'll do my best, I said. A very long time ago, about 100 years before you were born, there was a veterinarian who lived in Winnipeg. His name was Harry Colburn. A vegetarian, said Cole. Bears don't like vegetables. A veterinarian. It means an animal doctor. I know that, Cole said. That's what I'm going to maybe be when I'm big. If a horse had the hiccups or a cow had a cough, Harry knew how to make them feel just right. Harry's hands were never cold, even in Winnipeg, where winters are so frosty that icicles grow on the inside of your nose. That was just the kind of doctor he was. But a day came when Harry had to say goodbye to Winnipeg. There was a war far, far away, beyond the end of the country and on the other side of the ocean, and he was going to help. He would be caring for the soldiers' horses. Harry rode east on a train full of other soldiers. He leaned his head against the window, watching the land scroll by, wondering what it would be like to be so far from home. The train rolled right through dinner and over the sunset and around 10 o'clock and into a nap and about the next day, until it stopped at a place called White River. Harry decided to stretch his legs. On the train platform was a man on a bench with a baby. A baby, said Cole, annoyed. A baby bear. A cub. Harry stopped. It's not every day that you see a bear cub at a train station. That bear has lost its mother, he thought, and that man must be the trapper who got her. What do trappers do? Asked Cole. It's what trappers don't do. They don't raise bears. Raise them? You know, I said. Love them. Harry thought for a long time. Then he said to himself, there is something special about that bear. He felt inside his pocket and said, I shouldn't. He paced back and forth and said, I can't. Then his heart made up his mind, and he walked up to the trapper and said, I'll give you $20 for the bear. Is $20 a lot? Asked Cole. Back then, I said, even more than a lot. Captain Colburn, said the colonel at the train, as the little bear sniffed at his knees. We are on a journey of thousands of miles, heading into the thick of battle, and you propose to bring this most dangerous creature? Bear stood straight up on her hind legs, as if to salute to the colonel. The colonel stopped, speaking at once, and then, in a different voice, he said, Oh, hello. The men of Harry's regiment squeezed by to have a look. I've decided to name her Winnipeg, Harry told them, so we'll never be far from home. Winnie for short. They had a very long way to travel, and they had already gone 3 or 4 feet when Winnie grew hungry. What do bears eat? The men wondered. What don't they eat? Said Harry. Vegetables, Cole reminded me. Well, Winnie ate vegetables, I said. She ate everything except onions. They brought her carrots and potatoes and apples and tomatoes and eggs and beans and bread, and a tin of fish, and some slop in a dish. But Winnie was still hungry. How about dessert? Said Harry, holding up a bottle of condensed milk. Taking the treat in her paws, Winnie lay on her back and hummed a happy song as she drank. The men roared. Harry and Winnie gathered with soldiers from all over Canada in the green fields of Valcartier. A whole city of tents had sprung up there. One was a hospital for horses, where Harry went to work. Winnie was in the army now. Harry taught her to stand up straight and hold her head high, and turn this way and that way, just so. Soon as she was assigned her own post, even the colonel agreed that Winnie was a remarkable bear. She might have been the best navigator in the whole army. If you hid something, she could find it. What if it was farther away, and still farther? Remarkable, he cried. In the evenings, both of them were too tired to move. When Harry thought about Winnie and the voyage across the ocean, his head said, I shouldn't. His head said, I can't. But his heart made up his mind. Nobody had ever tried to float so many people and animals across the Atlantic Ocean before. 30 ships sailed together, carrying about 36,000 men and about 7,500 horses, and about one bear named Winnie. When they finally arrived in England, the regiment went to training on the Salisbury Plain, where it rained and rained and rained. But Winnie didn't seem to mind. She was the mascot of the 2nd Canadian Infantry Brigade, and she attended her post with vigor. One day, Harry came running while she was doing her exercises in the tent. "You'll bring the whole place down," he said with a laugh. She had grown. It was winter when the order came. The time had come to fight. Winnie posed proudly with the men for pictures to send home to their families. Harry thought for a long time. His head argued one way and then the other, but his heart made up his mind. He went to Winnie and said in a serious way, There's somewhere we need to go." Winnie brushed the mud off her nose and nuzzled in close. Harry drove all the way to the big city. "Here we are," said Harry, "the London Zoo." Harry took a deep breath. "Winnie, this is going to be your home for a while," he said. She tilted her head. "We're shipping out to France," he explained. "I have to take care of the horses at the front." She rested her pig head against him. "I know you want to come, but it's not safe." Winnie's head bowed. Harry's hands were warm as sunshine, as usual. "There is something you must always remember," Harry said. "It's the most important thing, really. Even if we're apart, I'll always love you. You'll always be my bear." "Is that the end?" "That's the end of Harry and Winnie's story," I said. "But I don't want it to be over," said Cole. "Sometimes," I said, "you have to let one story end so the next one can come." "How do you know when that will happen?" "You don't," I said, "which is why you should always carry on." Once upon a time, there was a little boy with a stuffed bear. He'd had his bear ever since he was a baby, but somehow, the boy had never found the right name for him. He'd tried Teddy and Edward and even Big Bear. One day, the boy went to visit the London Zoo with his father, and there was a bear, a real bear, on the terraces there. Right away, the boy thought, there is something special about that bear. Her name was Winnie. They became true friends. The boy was allowed to come right inside her enclosure to play. Once the boy had found Winnie, he knew just what to call his stuffed bear. He named it Winnie the Pooh. And the boy was called Cole, said Cole. His name was Christopher Robin Mindley. Christopher Robin would visit Winnie at the zoo, and then he would take his stuffed animal on all sorts of adventures in the woods behind his home. His father, Alan Alexander Milne, wrote all books about them. Harry's Winnie became Winnie the Pooh, and there has never been a more beloved bear. "But what about Harry?" Cole asked. When Harry visited Winnie at the zoo, he saw how happy she was. She was being raised. She was truly loved, and that was all he had ever wanted, from the moment they met at the train station in White River. So, after the war, Harry returned to Winnipeg and his life as an animal doctor. Before long, he was married and had a son named Fred. Fred had a daughter named Lauren, and Lauren had a daughter named Lindsay, which is me. And then I had a son named Cole. When I saw you, I thought there's something special about this boy. So I named you after your great-great-grandfather, Captain Harry Colburn. I named you Cole. "That's me," said Cole in a whisper. "That's you. And that's Winnie?" "Yes," I said. "That's Winnie." "And it's all true?" "Sometimes the best stories are," I said. Cole's eyes grew big, and he said nothing for a long time. Then he hugged his own bear close and let out a yawn that reached far away, and they both rolled over and fell asleep. And then at the end of the book, it shows a couple pictures from a photo album, which is the same one that the mom was holding. during during the story. And so it shows pictures of Harry as a young soldier and diary entries from when he bought Winnie. And then there's like real life pictures of her in the army and the statue in Winnipeg. And then a picture of Christopher Robin and Winnie at the zoo. And then this is Lindsay and Cole. So yeah, I just thought this book was so stinking cute because it's a true story about someone that everybody knows but may not know the whole story about. But yeah, just thought it was super cute, and I had to pick that as my book to read aloud. Sorry I stuttered a bit, and but this is live and I don't want to record this a million times, so this will just have to do. But thank you so much for watching and listening. I'm looking forward to watching all of your guys' videos, and yeah, so thank you, and I hope you all had a great weekend, and I will see you again soon.